About an hour before midnight on the night before he died, Elvis had a dentist appointment with a dentist named Lester Hoffman. Accompanied by his fiancée Ginger Alden, his cousin Billy Smith, and longtime friend Charlie Hodge, Elvis drove out of Graceland, his famous home in Memphis, Tennessee. The next day, August 16th, was the scheduled beginning of another concert tour, and Elvis wanted to get his teeth cleaned and 2 fillings replaced before he went out on the road.
We returned back to Graceland at about 1:30, and Elvis and I went upstairs, and Elvis turned on the television in his room to relax for a little while. Then Elvis started talking about his tour and started talking about our wedding plans and about announcing our engagement at his Memphis concert. Then it was about 4 o'clock, and I asked Elvis if he still wanted to play racquetball, which he had mentioned playing earlier, and he said yes. Elvis got in touch with Billy Smith, and Billy and his wife Jo came up at about 4:30. We went down to play racquetball. So Elvis really seemed like he was in a good mood. He played racquetball for a little while and then went and played the piano. It was about 6 o'clock when we went back into Graceland. At about 6:30, Elvis called downstairs for Ricky Stanley to bring up his packet of medication to help him get to sleep, because he was so nervous about, he was always kind of keyed up before starting a tour. So Ricky brought it up. Elvis took his packet of medication and started reading a book on psychic energy then. He thought that would help him fall asleep. Then I fell asleep. So at about 8 o'clock, I woke up because Elvis was restless, saying that he just couldn't sleep. So he called downstairs for Ricky again, and Ricky came up and brought up another packet of medication.
A second packet?
Right. Elvis took that, and then I went back to sleep. The third time I was awakened again, Elvis was starting to get up, saying that he still couldn't sleep. He took the book on psychic energy with him, and he started toward the bathroom door. And I said, "No, don't fall asleep." And he turned and smiled at me and said, "Oh, okay, I won't." And then he went to the bathroom. I went back to sleep, and I slept until 2 o'clock. At that time, I rolled over and I looked at the clock, and it said 2 o'clock then, and the bathroom door was still shut. So at that time, I went in and I knocked on the door, and no one answered. So I opened the door, and that was when I saw Elvis.
According to an investigator for the medical examiner's office, the body was purple or deep blue, and rigor mortis had already set in. Elvis had apparently been dead since early that morning. After a flurry of desperate activity, which may have included attempts at mouth-to-mouth resuscitation by members of the Presley staff, an ambulance arrived at Graceland. 2 paramedics from the Memphis Fire Department, Ulysses Jones and Charles Crosby, needed assistance from several of the aides even to lift Elvis onto their stretcher. He weighed between 250 and 255 pounds. The body was rushed to the Baptist Memorial Hospital, where an emergency resuscitation team, similar to the one shown here, worked in vain to revive Elvis. In a very short time, it became apparent the effort was useless. Even at that time, the authorities at least suspected that the death might be drug-related. Dan Warlick, the investigator from the medical examiner's office, received the news of the death from the police. The message to him read, EPOD DOA BMH. Elvis Presley, overdose ? Dead on arrival, Baptist Memorial Hospital.